What box? Now, it's interesting because over my life experience and multiple customers, multiple partners, multiple people who listen to variations of a different story, one of the things that was most compelling and what kept coming up was this whole theory of comfort zone. One of the phrases that used to drive me nuts is I would hear a lot of these gurus, a lot of the people very specifically talk about, to be successful, you've got to get out of the box. Now, I was listening to this and I had the great honor of being a partner with Mark Victor Hansen, who's the co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And we did a lot of events together. And occasionally I would be the MC or the master of ceremonies for a big event that we would have somewhere in the different parts of the country. And when we did these events, there'd be a few thousand people in the events. And we would do them at least once a month or once every 2 months. And over the course of a few of these events, I would listen to Mark talk about, you got to get out of the comfort zone to be successful. And in his way, he would say, well, to be successful, you got to get out of the box. Now, he would say it the same way every time. Now, it was interesting because one of these times I sat there and I went, that doesn't make any sense. Now, I didn't say it out loud. It was in my head. My head speaks to me a lot. And I go, that doesn't make any sense. You're telling people to get out of a box to be successful. So in this one particular occasion, in this one particular event, I thought I would be very, very intelligent to try to challenge this. Now, the funny part was I was going up to do my session before Mark Victor Hansen. It was my job to introduce Mark Victor Hansen. And I sat there and I went, oh, okay, let's do this. Let's do this box thing. So I went into the audience and I start this whole comfort zone exercise. And the comfort zone exercise is basically a comfort zone is defined by what you define as a comfort zone, meaning it doesn't exist if you don't have one. Now, it's weird to tell anyone that they don't have a comfort zone because everyone's got a comfort zone to do with something, or so to speak. Fear of flying, fear of heights, fear of talking to people, fear of doing business. I don't know what it is. But the comfort zone says the minute we step outside of that place we feel most comfortable, we feel vulnerable. And that was really the premise of getting out of the box. So I get into this whole conversation, and I'm going to share it with you now because I have a whole different philosophy on you have to get out of the box, because I believe at that time, wait a second, if you tell people they have to get out of a box to be successful, and you've heard what box, or get out of the box, or get out of it, if you tell people they have to get out of a box, then they spend their entire lives trying to get out of the box. Now, what if the box didn't exist? What if the box was just something we told people to get out of? So I'll show you what I mean. It started something like this. I walked to the audience and I said, hey, do me a favor. Have any of you ever heard the phrase, you got to get out of the box? And hands go up, hands go up, hands go up. And I go, great. What does it mean? Dead silence. Somebody would say, oh, you got to be out of your comfort zone. You got to be able to do this. You got to be comfortable doing stuff. I go, I totally get that. I said, but who told you you have to get out of the box? And then they inevitably said they did. And that is the trigger. Because you see, imagine how many things you believe because they said so. Now, who's they? Oh, they is them, they, and those. Them, you know them, they. These are the people that say things without anybody questioning or challenging the information. So I just thought it'd be funny to challenge it and do a whole different version. Why? Because I believe that if you want to be successful, you just move forward. You do things you need to do. You actually go after what you're looking for, because anybody can get what they want if they go after it. Now, it doesn't always be the picture of what you want it to be, but for the sake of this argument, for the sake of this discussion, let's just talk about the fact that if you didn't have to get out of the box, you could move faster. Here's why. Okay, the box. So I said, okay, so can somebody show me where the box is? Dead silence again. And all of a sudden, people were questioning. And the whole idea for me was to let you question what everyone tells you. Because if everyone was right, then we wouldn't need any information, because we'd all have the right information, because everyone was telling us what was right to do, and we'd all be successful. That's simple. Problem is, everyone has their opinion, not always based in fact. And I knew this, so I thought it was important to get this box thing out of the way. So let's go for the ride. Go something like this. So if you can't tell me where the box is, how do you know to get out of it? And people start laughing. And all of a sudden, if you're thinking about it right now, you've been spending your life trying to get out of the box or out of your comfort zone, but someone told you there's a comfort zone to get out of or a box to get out of, and you just come to the realization right this very moment that it doesn't exist or you don't know where it is, then how do you get out of it? That's the point. Because imagine, it's easier to tell everyone to try to get out of something that doesn't exist and keep them looking for it than actually doing things. Why? It's called the herd mentality. Or as I used to explain it, moo-ba. Moo-ba means the fact that people move in herds. They believe the things that groups believe. They believe the things they do. You as an entrepreneur, you as a business owner have got to separate yourself from the herd. You already did by being a business owner, right? Because most people go, what do you do for a living? Oh, I do this, I do that, I work this, I work that. Most of us as entrepreneurs don't have that ability because in our world, there is no box. Here's how it finished up. I said, okay, so from here on in, you have to understand the box. Where's the box? And if you can't get out of the box, and I would do this, I was starting to do this whole mime thing. I'm not very good at it, but I was doing the mime thing to get out of the box. And most people didn't realize what I was doing was showing them, you've been told your entire lives to be successful, you got to get out of the box. And if you're not successful, it's because you're trapped in the box. But if the box doesn't exist, then you can have and basically try and do whatever you want to do in this life to be successful. And that is when it all changed. Here's what happened in this particular event. I said, okay, so let's make sure we understand each other. You've been told your entire life to get out of the box. And if the box didn't exist, then you wouldn't have to get out of one. If you didn't have to get out of one, you wouldn't have to move in the place that you went to and stay where you are, because then you could move because there was no box in the first place. And people were like, what? So I said it again. If there was no box in the first place, then you don't have to get out of one. And you don't have to spend any more time in your life trying to get out of a box that doesn't exist, because they told you to get out of, be successful, you got to get out of the box, but no one ever pointed to you where the box was, what it is, or how to get out of it. So at the end of the day, I said, from here on in, this moment forward, if anyone ever says to you, you got to get out of the box, your response should be, what box? Because that questions the ability for them to understand, oh my gosh, I don't know what box. And now they're perpetuating a storyline that keeps you from being successful or doing the things you want. So I would do this back and forth. I said, so if someone says to you from this moment forward, you got to get out of the box, what do you say? And they would say, what box? What box? And we did this over and over again because what I wanted to do was reestablish for them that they can create anything they want. You can do anything you want by realizing there is no box. Your comfort zone is what you define it to be, and you can be outside of your comfort zone anytime you want. Yes, you may feel vulnerable. Yes, you may be things you don't understand. Yes, but you know what? When you started your business, when you became that person in your particular industry, you didn't know everything and you learn as you go. And that's the whole purpose of being an entrepreneur. So let me finish this off for you. Now, I knew that Mark Victor Hansen was going to come out at some point in his presentation and say, to be successful, you got out of the box. And I'm about to introduce him. So I think this is hilarious, but they don't know what I've done. I do. I said, so if anybody, even one of us from this moment forward, ever says to you, you got to get out of the box, I want you to say, what box? And here's what happens next. I said, well, fantastic. You've now broken the comfort zone. You've broken the box. You have the ability to do what you want with your business, your life, etc. I said, it is now my great pleasure to introduce Mark Victor Hansen, co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul in 115 variations. This man can help you change your lives. Please put your hands together in a rousing applause for Mr. Mark Victor Hansen. He comes out on stage not knowing what just happened. I go to the sound booth. I turn to the sound booth Phil guy and I said, Phil, around the 17th to 19th minute, Mark's going to go into the get out of the box. Let's see what happens. And son of a gun, 17, 18 minutes into the presentation, Mark Victor Hansen says, you got to get out of the box to be successful. And the entire audience, thousands of people, turn to him and go, what box, Mark? And Mark Victor Hansen stands quietly. And I turn to Phil and I go, I think I killed him. And he goes, no. Mark Victor Hansen leans up, smiles, and he goes, Glenn was here, wasn't he? And everybody goes, yes. And he goes, he's absolutely right. And from that moment forward, Mark Victor Hansen never used, you got to get out of the box. And neither should you.